Hello? What's your name? My name's Adam. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
What's your name?
What's your name?
What's your name?
What's your name?
My name is...
Adam.
I am
Evie.
Do you come here often?
Oh, yes.
all the time, and my mother doesn't even know I've left home.
Well, she sees you're not there. I don't know.
No, because I'm still at home in bed.
Home in bed.
Because my spirit.
Has split in two.
You mean as a metaphor?
Your mother doesn't know you've left.
She still sees me every morning when I wake up in my bed at home.
She sees you. So, your mother...
But you think she's crazy.
I think someone may be a little bit living...
In a dream.
This is how it is when you love someone.
Indeed.
Yes.
I wonder, would you marry me? Or would you have a coffee with me think about having a conversation that would lead to marriage?
Oh,
Well,
a coffee with you?
I would have a coffee with you.
You are free now.
Free now? No. Well, no. Right now I'm busy.
Okay. Then maybe later this evening?
Well, later this evening.
Also, I'm busy.
For a late supper,
Or breakfast tomorrow?
or lunch, or tea in the afternoon,
Or movie?
or dinner tomorrow, the day after,
Thursday for lunch?
Friday for dinner.
Perhaps you would go for the weekend with me to my parents' home in Provence? Or we could stop along the way and find a little place for ourselves to be alone.
I don't think I could be alone.
With me? Or by yourself? You don't like to be alone by yourself?
No, I mean with you this weekend.
Oh. Or we just could have coffee over and over again every day until we get to know one another. We have the passage of the seasons. In the cafe, we could celebrate our anniversary, and then perhaps you forget that you're not married to me, and we could have a child.
A child?
Because, don't you think after we've been together for a year, it'll be time to start to think of these things?
We haven't been together for a day.
In my life, I have known many women. I mean, I don't mean to say,
No.
I mean, just, you know, my mother, my grandmother, my sisters, and women I've known romantically, and then 2 friends, and even merely acquaintances. In life, one meets many people, but it seems to me that we know so much about another person in the first few moments we meet, not just by what they say alone, but the way that they hold their head, how they listen, what they do with their hand when they speak, and when they are silent. And years later, when these 2 people break up, they say, I should have known from the beginning. In truth, I did know from the beginning. I saw it in her, or in him, from the first moment that we met, but I tried to repress the knowledge, because it wasn't useful at the time, because, for whatever reason, I wanted to go to bed with her as fast as I could, or I was lonely. I pretended not to notice, even though I did. Exactly the type of person she was from the first moment. I knew. And so it is with you. And I think probably it's the same for you with me. We know one another. Right now, in this first moment, we know so much about one another in this brief period, and we've known many people. And as for myself, I can tell you are 1 in a million, and I want to marry you. I want to marry you and have kids with you and grow old together, so I am begging you, just have a coffee with me.
Okay.
When will you do this?
Right now.
Oh, good, good.
When the little bluebird, who has never said a word, starts to sing spring, spring. When the little blue bell in the bottom of the dill starts to ring, ding, ding. Bong, bong, dum, dum, bong, 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 bong. When the little blue cloud in the middle of his work starts a tune to the moon up above. Ah, it is nature, that's all, singing, telling us to fall in love. Ah.
And that's why birds do it, bees do it, even educated bees do it. Let's do it, let's fall in love. In Spain, the best upper steps do it. With wings and let's do it, let's fall in love. The Dutch in old Amsterdam do it, not to mention the things. Those inside and do it. In the Chinese twins, some Argentines without means do it. People say it must even beans do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love. The Dutch in old Amsterdam do it. Not to mention the Finns. Flows inside and do it. In the Siamese twins, some Argentines without means do it. People say it must even beans do it. Let's do it. Let's fall in love.
passing through.
Well, isn't everyone?
Whose woods are these?
I don't know.
I guess you could say you were lost in the woods together.
I guess you could.
I've never been lost in the woods before.
Neither have I.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
So am I. I like nature, but I'm a little bit afraid of it.
Sure.
Of the dark parts, especially. I'd like nature if it were better lit. I think basically everyone is just afraid of the dark. I mean, even amoebas. You take any life form out of its light source and it just begins to feel some anxiety. I do. I mean, light basically is how you orient yourself, and a person without a sense of orientation. What I mean is, if you don't know where you are and where you're going, a person just begins to freak out. I mean, I think that's why in jazz, they play the melody at the top, and then once you know the tune, you think, all right, let him riff, because now I know where I am, and I know in the end, they're going to come back to the melody. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like a love story. You could just get lost in a love story because you know whatever happens along the way, you might get lost or confused, or it might be on again, off again, or it might just go down some blind alley, because I mean, that's how real life is. That's how it really is to be in love. Sometimes you never know. Sometimes it feels like it's just drifting or it becomes hopeless, but it doesn't matter because in the end, in a love story, you know. Either they're going to get together or they're not.
Right. Do you think you could ever live in the woods?
You mean like forever?
Oh, for a long time. Let's say 5 years.
5 years. With you?
Oh. Okay. With me.
Yes.
Oh.
I've thought about it before, you know, living in the country, because that would be beautiful. And I've always found it frightening to be cut off from the world, as it seems to me, with nothing to do but wait to get to be 80 or 90 years old and die. I mean, you might think that you're going to go to the moon or be a doctor or just have some nice civil service job, you know, the ordinary stuff of life, a career, but I just throw it all away on some great romantic gamble. It's like you think, okay, I'm going to go to the country for the weekend, but to just cast myself out into the universe and drift among the stars and have this be my destiny, to take the gamble that this is a meaningful life and the only one I have, and one that I would like to live forever. It's not that I'm a morbid person, it seems to me that when you're out there all alone with the farm and the field and the trees, the night sky, the stars, you start to think pretty quickly how you've only got this one life on Earth, and then it's over, and it hasn't even been a wink in the life of the stars, and you haven't done anything that you think is worth an entire life on Earth, and so I've always just found it safer to live in the city where you can't see the stars at night. Because then you have friends and things to do, and it's fun. Not that I'm against having fun. What I mean is going to dinners, seeing movies, hanging out. You could forget entirely that you're a mortal person. It seems like this could go on forever. Until, I suppose, you meet someone and you think, I could live with you forever in the woods, and that would be a life. Or not. You know, or not. I'm sorry. I did not mean to come on so strong. I just start talking and I don't know when to stop.
Stop.
Right?
Okay. Good. Maybe we could just take a walk in the woods together.
Right. Good. Good idea. Let's do that.
Right after we have another taffy.
Okay. Good.
Do you think we have?
Don't you?
Do you think we've made love in the past?
Wouldn't you remember that?
Would I?
What would it take for you to remember?
Something extraordinary.
Some extraordinary night of making love.
Falling in love.
The love of your life
Love you thought you would never have.
that would never be returned.
That would never last.
Aren't you an odd sort of person?
That's why I'm drawn to you.
I must admit, I do like a woman who has delicate shoulders and red hair.
And a flat nose.
Some people would think her plain,
Or even tough looking.
with a prize fighter's nose.
And a small chest.
But she's sweet, too, and shy.
And wants never to be damaged.
Oh, and I would never damage her. Never raise my hand against her. Never raise my voice in speaking to her. I would be as steadfast as she is. I would undress her with great care
And touch her very gently.
and hold her through the night.
And let her live exactly as she would like.
I would let her be free.
And let her choose her own way of living.
And I would dote on her
Be there for her.
whenever she would turn to me.
Whatever it was that she would ask.
I would give it to her.
And when the time came that she no longer wanted me,
I would let her go lightly.
or if she wished never to leave me,
I would give my life to her.
Shorts in the summer, or rubber stockings, or, even rubber underwear?
Yeah.
Oh, thought you might. Most people, when they try to repair their rubber, they use super glue, which is fatal because it destroys the material.
知らなかったわ。
I use copy decks for temporary repairs, but then I always take it into the professionals.
そう。
In order to put on leather or rubber, you must make sure your body is dry from head to toe. And then you top yourself.
delightful, it's delicious, it's lovely. You can tell at a glance. I think you are lying to me, Herbert. You are always lying to me because you always wish something would be true when it isn't. You are a weak, spineless person, Herbert. Feckless, feeble, and ineffective. But I love you. Like a cicada.
Like a cicada?
Yes.
You mean like a grasshopper?
Do you know what a cicada is?
I thought I did.
There was a time, long ago, back in prehistoric times, when cicadas were human beings, back before the muses were born. And then, when the muses were born and song came into being, some of these human creatures were so taken by the pleasure that they sang and sang and sang, and they forgot to eat or drink. They just sang and sang and sang until, before they knew it, they died. But from these human creatures, a new species came into being, the cicadas. And they were given this special gift from the muses, that from the time they are born, they need no nourishment, they just sing continuously, caught forever in the pleasure of the moment without eating or drinking until they die. This is the story of love. If you stay forever in that place, you die of it. That's why people can't stay in love. But that's how I've loved you. That's how I love you now. And how I always
I'm glad to see you again. So you say, and yet I don't know how it could be true.
How could it not be true?
Because if you're glad to see me, you never would have left me.
Of course I would.
No. Because if you love someone, you don't leave them. You hold on to them for dear life. You hold on to them forever. Unless you are a stupid person, which I don't think you are. So what else can I think except you never really loved me? I was just another one of your flings along the way, whereas I loved you. I know if you love someone, you don't let them go.
And yet you did.
I never did.
You said, if one day you're going to leave me, then go now. Don't just keep tormenting me.
And so?
And so it's not that I left you.
Excuse me, I didn't leave you, and yet you are not with me. What else happened?
It turns out we are at a different point in our life. We couldn't go on.
I could have gone on.
Shall we talk about something else?
I see in the world people have wars and they die. Entire countries come to an end. Etienne has died of cancer.
I didn't know.
How could you?
And yet there it is. And one day I will die, and so will you. And yet you could leave me. I don't understand. I will never understand how it is if you find your one true love, the person in all your life you're meant to find. Your only job then was to cherish that person and care for that person and never let go. But you still think for some reason, because this or that, you end it. You end it forever. You end it for the only life you will live on earth. Maybe if you could be reincarnated and come back to life again and again, a dozen times, then this would make sense. To give up on your only chance at love in this life because you would have another chance in another life, but when this is your only chance, how can this make sense? Do you think there will ever be a time when we could get back together?
No.
Not ever?
No.
Not ever at all, even ever.
No.
And yet this is so hard for me to accept.
I love you, Captain. I have never loved anyone in my life as I have loved you. And I know I never will. But we cannot leave forever.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and this place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I approach these walls. The stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do that dares love attempt. The stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no let to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than in 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have nights cloaked to hide me from their sight. And but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued the wanting of thy love.
By whose direction foundest thou out this place?
My love, who first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, I lent him eyes. I'm no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush or paint my cheek for that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thee at thy word, but if thou swearest, thou mayest prove false, and at lovers' perjuries they say, Jove laughs. Gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully, or if thou thinkst I am too quickly won, I will frown and be perverse and say thee nay. So thou wilt woo. Else not for the world, in truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayest think my behavior light, but trust me, gentlemen, I will prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess, but that thou overheardst me ere I was ware, my true love's passion. Therefore pardon me, and do not impute this yielding to light love, which dark night hath so discovered.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon, I swear that tips with silver all these fruit
Swear
treetops.
not by the moon, the inconstant moon that monthly changes her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable.
But what shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all, or, if thou wilt, Swear by thy gracious self, which is the God of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee.
If my dear heart's love.
Well, do not swear, although I join in thee. I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like lightning, which does cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet, good night. This bud of love, by summer's ripening breath, may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Good night. Good night. May sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy faithful love's vow for mine.
I did give thee mine before thou didst request it. And yet, I would it were to give again.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?
But to be frank and give it thee again. And yet, I wish before the thing I have. Oh, my bounty is as boundless as the sea. My love is deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. Even if I cry. Even we made love 1,000 times. We won't understand each other completely. Some people say, you already died somewhere in the sea. But I still remember. You said that you loved me. Echoes in my mind. Sunset in the ocean. Or we belong to each other. Just wanted to be together. Even if I cry. Even we made love 1,000 times.
You know, I like to cook,
Oh,
and I like to make apricot confiture,
wow.
and I straighten up, but not right away. And usually I live in a mess, but then I straighten up later on, only it's not always straightened up.
Right.
I do dishes and I do laundry, but I'm not good at really cleaning.
Uh-huh.
So that's how it is if you live with me. That's how it'll be. That's all. I just wanted, if we're going to be together, you know, for everything to be clear.
Right.
So you understand about laundry and dishes and not straightening up. And there are no surprises. Like, you're not suddenly going to discover, oh, she doesn't straighten up. This will never work out because I can't stand a mess. I'm sorry, I wish I could. I wish I could just rise above it. But chaos makes me crazy. I just fall apart and I can't go on living with you.
Like that.
Right. That's not how it is for me. Because moving in with you, this is a big deal for me. And I don't want there to be any misunderstandings because this is a big move. And I don't think after I do this that there will be any going back. I mean, if a year from now you were to say, oh, you never straighten up, I don't think I could live with that. The point is, I think I'd shoot you.
Right.
That's how it is for me.
That's it?
Yes.
That's all?
Yes, I don't think there's anything else. I think that's everything.
Well, the truth is, I can do the laundry too. And I do dishes.
Oh.
So I think everything's gonna be okay.
Oh, good. Good. That's good then.
Right. Plus, I cook too.
You cook too.
Right.
Oh.
Plus, I love you like crazy.
Oh, you do. Good. That's good then. I can accept that.
What is a man, really? A man is the vibrator with a wallet. A man is an unresponsive lump of flesh, obsessed with screwing, incapable of empathy, love, friendship, affection, or tenderness. A half-dead, isolated unit that will swim a river of snot, wade nostril deep through a mile of vomit if he thinks a friendly cunt will be waiting for him at the other end. A man is a creature who will fuck mud if he can.
And then these women wonder why a man would prefer masturbation to marriage.
I know some guys who like electronic masturbation.
What?
You know, you take some electrodes and some low-power, carefully controlled electrical current, you run that through your genitals, and you'll get some very interesting tingling and throbbing sensations.
Why would you want to do that when you can just use your hand?
Yeah, you asked that because you've never done it. You'll get something very different with electronic stimulation. Now, you get yourself a stereo audio amplifier with about 1 to 5 watts per channel of output power, a tone generator of some sort, an electronic music synthesizer like Casio or Yamaha. You don't want to use an electric guitar because that could put a current through your whole torso. You set the amp control to minimum. You set the tone source to produce a continuous tone of about 440 hertz. That's the A above middle C on a musical keyboard. You insert the small loop electrode just inside your urethra, slowly turn up the volume control, and then you can play the A above middle C on the left channel, and then the A an octave lower on the right channel, or play the C on the left channel and the adjacent C sharp on the right channel, or play a steady tone on one channel and a downward glissando on the other channel. You know, fool around. It's just like any other kind of sex. It's not always the same.
I had a friend. When she first met her husband, he was preoccupied with young girls all the time. Paul. His name was Paul. Looking at pictures of them, looking at them on the street, to her it seemed strange. And then, the first time she helped him get a young girl into the car to take her home, my friend was, well, quivering. A knot in her stomach, that sick, excited sensation. And after that, it was easy. I'm not saying she doesn't still get excited, but obviously it never was like it was the first time. I mean, nothing ever is like it was the first time, obviously. Now you might say, I would never do such a thing. But how do you know? You say, because that's not the kind of person I am. But you don't know. Because one day you will do something, and then you will discover what kind of person you are. You see a woman when she is grown up, you see her, she is turned out, and you think that then you can say, oh, right, this was inevitable, the way she grew up. You could tell how this is how she would turn out, that this is the person that she would become because of Freud, blah, blah. Social dynamics, her background, blah, blah. I mean, hindsight is so good. The theories of hindsight are foolproof. But you don't know. You never know. She could be 100 different people before she's through with her life, and that is how it is these days. When I was a child, I thought about numbers a lot. first there was the question, could a woman have several husbands all at the same time, or only one right after the other? And then I was wondering how many children a woman might have. And then, a few days after I lost my virginity, I had group sex. There were 5 of us all together, 3 men and 2 women, and we had just finished our lunch on a hill above Lyon. It was June or July, it was hot. And somebody suggested that we take off all our clothes and go swimming in the lake. I heard Andre saying something about his girlfriend coming by, but his voice was muffled because I already had my shirt over my head. And then, in the end, nobody went in the water. Andre fucked me first, quite slowly and calmly, which was his way, and then Ringo came and took his place on top of me, and Ringo's body was different, and I liked it better. Ringo was taller and wiry, and he was one of those men who can isolate the action of his pelvis without smothering a woman, supporting his torso with his arms. You look at history, not to tell you how things are going to be, and not for the rules of how things have to be, but to tell you that the way things are is not the way they always have been, or the only way they can be. And now looking back, everything there ever was is available to us now to pick and choose, have one of these and one of those. Make a life out of that.
Hello. Look what I bought.
What, you bought? You mean you bought all of this stuff?
You know, this is the first time we can let ourselves go a little bit and not think all the time about economy.
Oh yes, but we still shouldn't be spending our money recklessly.
Maybe we can be a little bit more reckless. You're going to have a big salary now.
Well, yes, with bonuses and so forth, but that's not something we can count on just now. And meanwhile, thinking of the cash flow.
Maybe we can borrow until the bonuses come along.
Nora, are we featherheads? Suppose we borrow $1,000 today and you spend it all this week, and then a piece of cornice falls from a building and hits me in the head.
Oh, no, Torvald, no, please don't talk like that.
Still, suppose it happened.
Well, if it did happen, I wouldn't care whether I owed money or not.
What about the people who loaned us the money?
I don't think I'll bother about them. I don't even know them.
I don't want to say this is like a woman.
Then don't.
No, but you know what I think. No debt, no borrowing. There is no freedom to a life that depends on debt and borrowing.
I'm sorry, Torvald.
Oh, Nora, don't be so sad. My little sparrow must have drooped her wings. My little squirrel must have been so disheartened. Look here. Look what I have for you.
Money!
Yes, of course. You don't think that I don't know at all that a household needs a budget.
Oh, thank you, Torvald. This will keep me going for a long time.
Well, yes, I should hope so.
Yes, yes, it will. But let me show you what I bought. It's a doll for Emily.
Oh, it's lovely. Thank you, Nora. Thank you. Now, do me a favor. Tell me something you would like to have for yourself.
For myself? Oh, thank you, Torvald, but I don't want anything.
Oh, but you must. Tell me something you would particularly like to have.
Really? I can't think of anything. Unless,
Yes.
if you really want to get me something, you might give me more money, only just as much as you can afford. Then I'll think of something to buy with it.
Now, Nora.
Oh, do, Torvald, please do. Then I'll wrap it up in beautiful gilt paper and I'll have time to think what I most want.
All right. Okay.
own son, Pelos. Are you done? Chops him up and boils him, and plans to serve him to the gods as animal meat.
Scene 2.
The gods realize the truth and are horrified. They put the pieces of the boy back together and send Tantalus to Hades.
Scene 3.
Tortured by thirst, Tantalus stands in water that reaches only to his chin. Food just out of his reach, tantalized forever.
Act 2. Scene 1.
Pelops grows up and falls in love with Hippodamia. But the father of Hippodamia, in order to test potential suitors, has declared that anyone who wants to marry his daughter must first beat him in a chariot race. The crafty Pelops strikes the secret bargain with the father's personal charioteer. If the charioteer will sabotage the father's chariot, then Pelops will let the charioteer sleep with Hippodamia on the wedding night. The charioteer agrees. Hippodamia's father is killed during the chariot race. And Pelops marries Hippodamia.
Scene 3.
But on the wedding night, Pelops changes his mind and refuses to give his bride to the charioteer.
No, 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 no.
Are you quite done?
No, no.
The charioteer tries to rape Hippodamia. And so Pelops throws him off a cliff. 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 As he falls to his death, the charioteer curses Pelops and all his descendants, as though they needed another curse.
Act 3. Scene 1.
Pelops has two sons, Atreus and Thyestes, and the two sons fight over who will inherit the throne of Mycenae. Atreus wins the kingdom. But Thyestes revenges himself by sleeping with Atreus' wife.
Scene 2.
Atreus exiles Thyestes, but then, on the pretense of making up, Atreus invites his brother Thyestes home for dinner. For the menu that night, Atreus kills the sons of Thyestes, cooks them, and serves them to their father with a robust red wine. After dinner, he asks Thyestes if he knows what he has eaten, and the servants present Thyestes with the heads and the hands of his own sons.
Scene 3.
Thyestes runs out of the house. He asks the Delphic oracle how he can be revenged.
How he can be revenged. How he can be revenged. How he can be revenged.
The oracle tells him the only way is he must have a child by his own daughter, Pelopia.
A child by his own daughter Pelopia. A child by his own daughter Pelopia. A child by his own daughter Pelopia.
That night, Thyestes sees his daughter going into a nearby stream. He rapes her and abandons her. Scene 4.
mincemeat.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Oysters are easy enough. Fish wrapped in banana leaves, that sort of thing. But the traditional things are harder to come by. It's a difficult time, but people have no sense of it.
No,
They have no sense of restraint.
no. I remember the first Thanksgiving. Captain John Smith had went back to England for help. A boat came over. There was a terrific storm. It was wrecked on the shores of Bermuda. You've heard that, of course. Yes. And then they ate rats, I think.
Rats.
Norwegian rats. Caught them with their bare hands, smashed them against the dirt or the stockade walls. Hardy people. And then they had to be. Then they took to digging up the dead.
Dead what?
The dead bodies of the settlers who had already died of starvation. Dug them up and ate them. No other food.
This isn't the story I remember.
And then there was the fellow who killed his wife. You've heard that, of course. Killed her, salted her down, ate her for dinner.
No, I hadn't heard that.
First Thanksgiving.
No, I don't think that can have been it.
Maybe not. I don't remember.
I've been thinking of us being together, and what I thought was, the mental picture that came to mind was, I walked into Dean and DeLuca, and I saw that the man in front of me was sweating and twitching, and just then all of the automatic doors slid shut, and the lights started blinking. The man was shooting at the produce and screaming instructions that no one understood. So I started interpreting for him because I could tell what he must have meant. And everyone got down on the floor on their stomachs and crawled towards the corners. They were sleeping in the stairwells and the hallways and on the bathroom floors. People started to get sick. Each night, 10 or 15 of the sick old men were taken to the spare bedroom and told to lie down in a clump. The men with machine guns said that they would fire 1 bullet per person into the clump, and if anyone managed to live, they could live. But when they opened fire, they just kept on shooting until everyone was hit. You came in and led me to the bathroom. You sat me down on the toilet and gave me 10 punchlines and told me to come up with the jokes that went with them. I matched them up correctly, and then you added in some homeopathic remedies where you said the herb and I had to say what it cured. I ran through the back wall into the garden where all of my friends were having a lingerie dinner party. Everyone was dressed in long silk gowns. The tables were covered with silk pajamas and robes sewn together. And then it started raining. I'm singing in the rain. The rain. What love is feeling. I'm happy again. I'm happy at last. So kind of above. With songs in my heart. And I'm ready for love. And everyone ran around grabbing the silk and disappearing. So I ran for the elevator, but when the doors closed, we saw the elevator rolling away, and we were on an Amish school bus. All of the kids and teachers were smiling at us and clapping. The driver left me off at the elephant trainers, and he said he would take me back on his elephant. So I climbed up on his back, he started walking, and just a few steps down the road, he turned his head around and wrapped his trunk around my waist and said he had fallen in love with me and he would never let go. What do you think that means?
I love you, June, as I've never loved anyone before. When I saw you on that airplane, the way you drank a cup of tea, I'd never seen such sweetness, such delicacy. More than that, such balance. When the airplane hit that air pocket, everyone bounced around. And the way you talk to me, I could listen to you forever. I could just wrap myself up inside your voice so Gentle and yet so strong, too. And resilience, that's what I hear in your voice. A sense of who you are and yet a respect for the person you're talking to. To tell the truth, you're my model human being.
And you. Now I know why I was never married. I was waiting for you all these years. I knew I was right, even though I had no idea. I would be happy to just sit with you forever on an airplane, my shoulder pressed against yours, and listen to you laugh. More than anything, I love it when you laugh. Nothing more important than the things that make a person laugh or smile, because a sense of humor is something you can't help. You could pretend to know something about novels, you could pretend to be considerate, but a sense of humor is something you can't fake. What strikes you, what gets to you in a certain way, it's just spontaneously how you are when you're not thinking. And I saw you all the way from Los Angeles to New York, smiling and smiling and smiling. And I knew I had to have you.
Why did you say so?
I'm a shy person. Why didn't you?
Because you said you were going to New York to get married.
Oh, right.
So what do we do now? You know, I had a friend once who married his sister by mistake.
You did?
Yeah. She was marrying this guy from India, and they were getting married in India. And so my friend's job at the wedding was to carry the leis, because in India the way to get married is they don't exchange rings, but they put these flower leis around each other's necks. So the time came in the ceremony when he was supposed to hand the leis to the bride and the groom, and he got confused and he put the lei around his sister's neck. So officially they were married. So I'm thinking we could do that.
Okay, so you would be the ring bearer. And instead of giving the ring to the groom, you just slip it on my finger.
Right.
And kiss me.
Right.
My story, it's much too sad to be told, but practically everything leaves me totally cold. The only exception I know is the case when I'm out on a quiet spree, fighting vainly the old ennui, and I suddenly turn and see your fabulous face. I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. So tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you?
I get no kicks from cocaine. I'm sure that if I took even one sniff, that would bore me terrifically too. Yet I get a kick out of you.
I get a kick every time I see you standing there before me.
I get a kick, though it's clear to me you obviously don't adore me.
I get no kicks
in a plane,
flying too high with some
guy in the sky is my idea of nothing to do.
Yet
I get a kick out of you.
Things that happen you didn't plan on when you got up in the morning. Things you think have nothing to do with you. And yet, that's where you are. That's where you live. That's the water you're swimming in, and that's the conversation you're walking through, that's the woods you're wandering in. Sometimes in life, you're looking for love. But then, with everything going on, you think, how does anyone find their way?
How does anyone find their way?
How do we get through our lives?
How do we get through our lives?
find our way to one another.
Right.
Right.
Find our way to one another.
Right.
In olden days, a glimpse of stalking was looked on as something shocking. Now, heaven knows, anything goes. Good authors too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words, writing prose. Anything goes. The world has gone mad today, and goes bad today, and black's white today, and day is night today, when most guys today, that winning prize today, are just silly gigolo. So, though I'm not a great romancer, I know that I'm bound to answer when you propose. Anything goes, anything goes.
I could live with you. We could get a little house just on the outskirts of Saint-Denis with a little swimming pool. It wouldn't have to be so big and so expensive because we'd have the whole town to ourselves. All the cafes, the little streets to wander down, the craft fair on weekends with little things to buy for not so much money, and that restaurant tucked into that little street.
I could go to the south of France, to Saint-Remy, to that little cafe, where I had lunch, sitting outdoors, where I first saw you.
The one on the corner with the carousel across the street?
Right. Well, that one too. I was thinking about the one a little further around the circle, next to the store that has the postcards with pictures of lavender fields.
Or the one right next to it with a canopy over the sidewalk.
Or the one back from the sidewalk behind the stone wall with the little garden.
Or the one all the way back around the circle. The one with the carousel inside.
Yes, one with the carousel inside. Well, that's my favorite.
And then you sit there, and you see all the others passing by, and you hear them talk, and you think, they have lives too. Your life is not the only life. There are lots of lives. We could just go to all the cafes.
In one afternoon.
Oh, well, in a few afternoons, if we just keep going around the circle.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's my idea of a perfect life.
I would say probably the beach and sitting in a cafe in Athens. Those would be a couple of my favorite things. And then spending some time in an old farmhouse in Umbria, overlooking the vineyards and the olive trees, eating all our meals in the big kitchen where the Italians always have a big table, and hearing the neighbors in the next orchard having a shouting argument over wine and dinner.
What is this thing called love?
This crazy thing called love.
Just who can solve its mystery?
Before it makes a fool out of me.
I saw you there one wonderful day.
You took my heart and threw it away.
I asked the Lord in heaven above,
What is this thing called love? Will you marry me for a second time?
Oui, I will.
There are still people who want to love each other and be together, not just halfway, not just keeping one foot on the riverbank, ready to say at any moment, okay, forget it. I guess we grew apart. Save yourself, I'm out of here. But no, they want to say, I'm going all the way with you. I am here with you forever. And love is an important important thing. It may be a necessary thing even for the world to go on. And so the wedding guests are there because when people make this promise to one another, it is a happy occasion and people like to share it and leave town before the misery begins.
You know, I think I could take you in my arms
And we could lie down on the back of a chicken and fly up into the clouds.
You could do that.
and take you to Saint-Remy, as they say in South France.
With all the sunflowers.
And the glass of rosé wine.
Where we have lunch at that little restaurant with the children's carousel in the main dining room and the toy car big enough for 2 kids to sit in together and the camping trailers.
Where you have your lunch served to you inside, although we would sit outside underneath the trellis.
So that we could see the sheep.
And they have the running of the sheep through the down.
Yes. Would you take me in your arms and lie down in that big overstuffed easy chair in the shape of a fat man?
Well, yes.
Sometimes I feel like 10 light bulbs on the ends of the wires twisting out from the ceiling.
The light bulbs with wings?
Yes, or I could be a bed filled with butterflies.
I could be a little chair made of metal strips, which are built around a newly planted tree where you could sit and enjoy protecting the tree.
I could be a yellow haystack in a field for you.
I could be a dog, 30 feet tall, made all of flowers.
I could be a boutique full of antique corsets. I could be Winged Victory.
I'm dreaming of floating plum pudding.
I want to be a giant ice cube melting in the sun.
Have you ever had a peacock?
No,
I'd like to get a peacock for you.
I'd like that.
Have you ever had a peacock?
No,
I'd like to get a peacock for you.
I like that. I love you with all my heart. I love your hands and your kneecaps and your hair and your ears. And I love the way you are sweet when you are sweet and the way you fuck up. Because even when you fuck up and it makes me so mad, you're actually so incompetent at it, such a wild, untargeted loser, that I love you. Because I think the reason you're such a loser is that your heart is good. So you can't hit the bullseye when you're acting like a nasty shit, so that people don't have to take it seriously and they can just wait till you realize how wrong you've been. And also right, because I don't think you are a pathetic loser that people love out of pity, or because they want to be with some weak, useless guy they can manipulate. You really are a winner because of your heart, which is always there, and when you come around, we all see it, and see you always for a great human being.
More than anything, I love to lie in bed with you at night and look at your naked back and stroke your back slowly from your neck to your coccyx, and let my fingers fan out and drift over your smooth butt, and slip slowly down along your thigh to your sweet knee, only to return again, coming up the back of your thigh, hesitating a moment. Let my fingers rest in the sweet valley at the very top of your thigh, just below your butt. So slowly up along the small of your back, to your shoulder blade. And let your hair tickle my face as I put my lips to your shoulder and kiss you. And kiss you. And kiss you forever. This is what I call heaven, and what I hope will last forever.
I would love you forever.
And ever.
Hello. What's your name? My name's Adam.